Before you rush into January with new goals, new ideas, and new plans, I want you to pause for a second. Think of this video as your end of year brand review. A bit like Spotify Wrapped, but more for your brand. Because the strongest brands don't just move forward, they take time, look back, and reflect and adjust. And by doing this, they make sure their next 12 months are not wasted. So today I'll talk you through 5 brand questions you should ask yourself before the year ends, so you can start in January knowing exactly what to do. And if you're new here, hi, I'm Rick Mays. I'm a creative director for one of the largest edtech brands in the world. And I've created this YouTube channel to share my 12 years of branding knowledge, from creation to strategy, all the way to brand identity design. So it's easy to learn without, the industry jargon that seems to be everywhere at the moment. So right, let's get into your brand review. So the first question that always comes to mind is, and you got to be honest with yourself, is where do I sit amongst my competitors? Where do you actually sit on the scale? So over the past year, have you been the go-to option for your niche? Have your competitors been clearer, louder, or even more memorable than you? See, this isn't a comparison about ego, it's about what direction does your brand need to take. If competitors are outperforming you, ask these simple questions like, are they easier to understand in 5 seconds, whereas we may take a whole minute to understand what we even do? You see, if the answer to these questions is no, then you're all good. You seem to be doing the right thing. But if the answer to any of these is yes, then you need to look at your brand and the way you're presenting yourself to your audience. Question 2. Now, have your visuals been attracting the right people? Now, let's talk visuals. And when I say this, I don't necessarily mean you need a new logo. You need to ask yourself, are the right people responding to your brand? Are you attracting people who aren't a good fit, maybe? Businesses usually jump into thinking, they need a whole new rebrand when the visuals aren't working. But this may be too reactionary, in my opinion. Sometimes the issue isn't the logo, it's everything around it. A great example of this is Amazon's rebrand this year. Like, they noticed their company grew rapidly, which resulted in new logos, visuals, and like sub brands under the Amazon umbrella, which then leads to the brand identity of the company being too complex and, inconsistent. So they saw this and they refined their logo slightly, but completely refreshed the wider visual system, making it easier for their customers to recognize them and ultimately like better connect with them. So here's how you can check if your brand needs an update, no matter what size your company is. I call this the guess who test. Think of every customer touch point you have. These are basically things and areas where your customer interacts with you in every area. So places like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, your website, the physical store if you have one, any business cards, just basically anywhere your customer will see you. And now imagine you remove your logo. Can you still tell it's the same company? If your answer is yes, then great, your brand visuals are aligned. But if no, then now you know there is no visual communication with your customer. And you can see that's clearly breaking down the connection. Question number 3. What is our whole story? Now, this one is the most underrated brand tool, in my opinion. Before the new year, your business should be able to answer clearly why it exists, what problem do you solve, what do we want to be known for, and are we doing the right things to achieve our vision? This should all be able to be written down on one page. Now, this is not marketing copy that you're going to communicate with your customer. It's actually for internal clarity. It's very important because it's easy to stray away from our core beliefs and start becoming like everyone else and being trendy, but keeping your brand foundation solid will keep you truly unique. And when this is clear, everything is aligned, so your website will sound better and more confident, your Instagram captions feel more aligned, your emails, even your calls and conversations feel like intentional and they mean something. And most importantly, your audience feels this clarity, they're not confused, and then it builds trust. And obviously what everyone wants builds more sales, and you'll be really rich. And question number 4, are you actually talking to the right people? Now let's review your messaging in this area. Look back at the year and ask, have you been speaking to everyone, or do you have one priority customer? Now, if you're talking to everyone, chances are your content feels quite generic. Your audience is really not finding you on any content or anywhere that you're trying to meet with them and your conversations are suffering, here's a simple fix. In my opinion, this is what I would do. Pick one priority audience for January. One person you're speaking to consistently, your actual customer, across content, offers, and messaging. And how I would ask you to do this is you can do this by making a made up profile of the ideal customer. Think of their age, location, likes, dislikes, what makes them happy, how do you make them feel, how does your brand affect them? And by answering this, you get into their mindset and you kind of create your perfect customer. And when you get into their mind, you can speak to them directly. Remember, like, you don't have to lose people by being specific. You just gain the right people, and communicating to your right and perfect audience is going to elevate your brand so much more than speaking to everyone, being generic and kind of getting lost and drowned out in the noise like a lot of people seem to do. And question number 5. So I've done all of the above and it's still not working. What do I do? Now, here's the final part of this brand review, and this one's important. For some of you, you'll go through all 4 of these steps and realize something a bit uncomfortable. You'll realize your positioning isn't clear, your messaging doesn't land, and your visuals aren't really getting noticed anywhere. You're attracting the wrong type of customer. Not because you're bad at what you do, but it's because your brand was never properly set up. And this is usually the moment people realize they don't just need tweaks. They would need a clear brand strategy, a considered visual identity, a new logo that actually reflects who the brand is now instead of who they were. And this is not for the sake of change, but it's because the current brand simply isn't doing its job. See, a brand's job is to be understood quickly, be remembered, and attract the right people, not just more people. If your brand isn't doing that, it's not a motivational problem, it's not a content problem, it's actually a foundation problem that you've not put in place. And recognizing that before January, see, that's not failure actually. That's clarity, because you now know like the steps you need to take for the new year, where the problems lie, and if you need to give your brand a lot more love. And this is going to set you up for like a major amazing year, because now you can spot the problems, attack them head on, and you're going to connect with so many people following these steps. And that brings us to the end of the video. Now, if you take the time to do this brand review before that year ends, January becomes a lot less overwhelming. Yes, you can do it in January as well. You know what? You're going to be a lot less overwhelmed. You're not going to be guessing. You're not going to be reacting. You're building your brand intentionally here. So if this has helped you in any way, let me know in the comments which part of your brand needs the most attention going into the new year. And if you watch this for an educational reason, because we do teach branding on this channel, tell me what you learn. And if you're interested in any conversations around brand building, strategy, and identity, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Thank you for watching this. I really appreciate you watching till the very end. And I know after this video, you're going to go and do amazing things. And please, please, please let me know anything you want to know in the comments. And I'll see you in the next one, which may be one of these 2. Take care.